Hello, future millionaires. This is Aztec, and this is the CSC. Happy New Year's, guys. This year is going to be huge. Just like in 2017 when Ethereum created a huge surge in the market because of the ICOs, again, Ethereum is going to steal the show. Why? Because its scalability issues and transaction costs are going to be solved via the Matic Network. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin isn't going to have a great year. I think that it's going to do well, but I don't really see it breaking all-time highs until possibly the end of this year or next year. I think that the halvening is going to bring a lot of interest, but I think that the most or the brunt of that interest will be after the halvening. Though I think that there will be some traction before. But Ethereum really is been held back due to its scalability, but the Matic Network is about to solve that in the very near future once mainnet is launched. And this article here that I have for you today is going to be packed with all kinds of knowledge about the Matic Network. It's also going to explain why it's the best layer 2 or scaling solution for Ethereum. And I have to say, this article is made by one of the best researchers in the space that I know. His name is Perry, and I would like to go ahead and say please follow him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is @PerryXus or PEREXUS. He's definitely a great follow to follow because he has tons of articles and research that he has coming out all the time. But in general, we'll go over his article today. I'm going to read through it because every bit of it is very juicy. And we'll probably, if we have time, go over the Matic chart. I'd also like to bring up the Bitcoin dominance or market capitalization chart here on CoinMarketCap and make some points if we have time. But first, let's go ahead and jump into this article. I'll read quickly. I'll go ahead and give you my points and kind of tell you what I think. But I think this article really sums up a lot. So the article says, or the title is Matic Network Ethereum Blockchain Layer 2 Scaling Solutions for Web3 dApps. Why 250,000 TPS? Which is a lot, but I think, based off what we know, Matic is going to be able to do a lot more in the future. Now it says, there has been much talk of scaling solutions for Ethereum. Much publicity has been given to scaling solutions such as Optimistic Rollup and ZK Rollup, and to a lesser extent to Matic Network, which is a layer 2 network on the Ethereum blockchain. It is important to have a proper understanding of the differences between these scaling solutions in order to be properly informed, as 2020 brings blockchain and cryptocurrency closer to the realization of mass adoption. Layer 2 scaling solutions are needed for Web3 decentralized applications, or dApps. Layer 1 blockchains are unable to scale sufficiently, and thus the need for layer 2 solutions. Vitalik Buterin has stated that the Ethereum blockchain will use layer 2 applications to scale. An infographic showing what Web3 is can be seen below. Now, this is very true. A lot of people think that there's all these scaling solutions, but if Vitalik has no real use for them, doesn't really feel like they're important, that's all false. Vitalik definitely knows that these scaling solutions are needed even after Ethereum 2.0 is existing. Basically, we don't even know when Ethereum 2.0 is going to happen, but one thing we do know for sure is that it won't make the layer 2 solutions obsolete. It will actually empower them or scale the layer 2 solutions as well. But in the future, even Ethereum 2.0 is not going to be enough to truly meet the needs of mass adoption. So you'll still need layer 2 solutions. So just to clarify, Vitalik is on board with these scaling solutions, and they are very important, and they will be important in the future. So this here explains Web 3.0 and all of the, like the stack, the history, what it is, and the benefits. And there's a lot of benefits of Web 3.0. As one simple example would be, which is something I'm very excited for. I know there's like DeFi and all these things, but I think that gaming is going to be huge. I think it's going to bring in a lot of the millennials. And essentially, if you have two different types of games and you spend a lot of time, everything you do within that game is locked within the game that you have there. But Web 3.0 will allow you to transfer the value from one game to another, which is something that doesn't exist now. That technology will be given to us by Web 3.0 and is being created now as we speak. I'm actually a tester of Chain Guardians, which is a game that's developed on Ethereum, and it's running on top of the Matic Network for scaling purposes. So Web 3.0 is going to be huge. I'm going to go ahead and link the article down below so you can look at this infographic if you'd like to on your own later on, but we'll go ahead and just kind of breeze through this. Different scaling solutions for Ethereum blockchain. Currently, as of the last hard fork, Optimistic Rollup is able to scale Ethereum smart contracts and dApps up to 250 TPS, currently with 2000 TPS being the goal. ETH gas station 2019. So in his articles, he actually has a lot of links that support what he's saying. So this is great to see, because some articles, don't back up anything they're saying, and Perry does. So I think that's awesome. Both Optimistic Rollup and Matic move transactions off-chain onto Layer 2 sidechains. It is estimated that Optimistic Rollup could have about 8 to 10 sidechains, which would enable it to scale dApps and smart contracts up to approximately 20,000 transactions per second once it achieves its optimum capacity TPS. Matic, on the other hand, can currently do 10,000 TPS during beta mainnet testing. Theoretically, a single Matic sidechain is capable of 65,000 TPS. An article written by Prime ICO states Matic plans to achieve 65,000 TPS transactions per second on a single Matic chain. Combining these chains under a sidechain tree architecture could achieve several millions of TPS. And here's another link. To clarify, Matic can have as many sidechains as is required by a project or institution. This is extremely important because there's institutions that want to use a blockchain that use 250,000 TPS per second. There's a lot of great choices out there to help scale Ethereum, but they're capped. They don't have the ability to kind of scale into infinity. And there's a lot of Ethereum killers that are working on this type of technology to be able to do this. And that's why a lot of people think that Ethereum will be killed, as they say. But Matic is going to be able to let Ethereum compete. And as we know, Ethereum has a lot of the big institutions and money around the world looking at them already. So I think Ethereum has a really great chance. I also, to clarify, think that a lot of these Ethereum killers also have a lot of great chances for success, but I don't think they're going to kill Ethereum because of this here. So as we continue, in an article written by Alex, he states that Optimistic Rollup will prepare users for ZK Rollup and make the following fixes to Optimistic Rollup. So let's keep going. It says eliminate a nasty tail risk, theft of funds from OR via intricate yet viable attack vectors, reduce withdrawal times from 1 to 2 weeks to a few minutes, enable fast transaction confirmations and exit in practically unlimited volumes, introduce privacy by default. So there's a lot to come for Ethereum that will also help these layer 2 solutions scale as well. But the main issue being transactions cost and scalability is going to be solved by Matic Network. So Matic Network is definitely needed. In contrast, or here we go, ZK Rollup will still take some time to develop and will be available. In contrast, Matic, which is due to be launched in Q1 of 2020, will enable instant transactions, virtually unlimited TPS, as will be clarified in the next section. Ethereum blockchain layer 1 security, plasma chains are relatively secure because they are connected directly to the Ethereum main chain and use Ethereum as a source of universal truth. The main issue at the moment is scaling for Web 3.0 applications. Another issue is fees. Matic fees are about 100 times less than the Ethereum gas fees. So again, with all these people trying to build dApps upon Ethereum, it costs so much money for them to do it. This is solved by Matic because their transactions are 100 times less, and their scalability issues, again, are being covered. I do want to go ahead and take time also to say that SmartMin6, which you can also follow on Twitter, makes some amazing artwork. And here, actually, I think, just take a little side note. You can see some of the graphics that he's made on Perry's Twitter, like this here, and he makes these kind of like 3D objects. SmartMin, or at SmartMin6. So definitely got to check him out as well. I'd say give him a follow as well. Now on to the article again. Why 250,000 TPS needed for financial institutional viability? So in a recent interview on RT on December 28, 2019, Ali, an industry blockchain expert, explained that 70% of banks surveyed are looking at doing a form of digital currency and 50% of them are working on proof of concepts. He stated that banks are preparing to deal with assets as they start to digitize and tokenize. One interesting point he made was that a couple of years ago, Alipay in China did 256 TPS, or 256,000 TPS on Singles Day. He stated that to have financial systems, institutions or corporations, with a blockchain layer, we would need to have at least that sort of throughput to be viable in most countries. In other words, to satisfy the requirement of major institutions wanting to build on the blockchain for mass adoption purposes, they would not be comfortable to invest huge amounts of capital into something less than 250,000 TPS capability. So Matic can achieve more than that. Matic can meet this requirement and go beyond, as illustrated by the simple chart below. It can also be argued that not all projects will need such high throughput, but many probably will as the blockchain begins to become a part of the global economic infrastructure. Decentralization finance, or decentralized finance, DeFi, promises to play a major role in 2020, and there are approximately 196 DeFi apps currently being built on the Ethereum blockchain. So another reason why Ethereum can really steal the show this year is because of DeFi, because of gaming, because of all these reasons here. Ali additionally stated that another to watch carefully in 2020 was the gaming sector. A website that tracks dApps. State of the dApps shows that the Ethereum blockchain has vastly more dApps on it than any other blockchain. If you scroll down and click 493, and so this kind of just explains how to find the information on this website and basically how Ethereum has all these dApps versus the other platforms out there. So the article says, in summary, there are many layer 2 scaling options that will be used. However, Matic is currently perfectly positioned to provide the enhanced scalability option, which will likely be required by some larger corporations or institutions to the Ethereum blockchain. Furthermore, Matic is not only for the Ethereum blockchain, it can also be integrated into other blockchains. Two examples of other blockchains working with Matic at the moment are Harmony One and Elrond to enhance their scalability performance. Also, approximately 40 new projects have built on Matic and will begin using the network after mainnet. Many other dApps on the Ethereum blockchain are likely to integrate after mainnet as well. So again, you have all of his links here. You can find this information for yourself. Verify it for yourself. But I have to say, this really shows us that there's a huge future for Ethereum. If you were wondering whether or not it was going to be viable, you can definitely see that there is a lot riding on Ethereum, and for good reason, because there's a future for Ethereum. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. Right now, Matic's sitting at about 1.5 cents. And we're going to do some real quick analysis, guys. This is analysis. This is not trading information. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. From what I can see on this chart, you look at the EMAs, they do look like they are trying to cross under each other, which would be bearish. But what we also see from this up fib, or I'm using Fibonacci here, going from the start of Matic all the way to the peak of Matic, we can see that Matic's actually respecting the up fib very nicely, even on this huge drop here where Matic was essentially attacked by some type of coordinated or leveraged attack. It respected it perfectly. It bounced right off the 0.786. We came up, we bounced again off the 0.786, and here I found some resistance at the 0.618. So we're kind of just ranging between the 0.786 and the 0.618. But in the short term or medium term, we do see that Matic's RSI is looking kind of neutral at 44, almost 45. We can see that the MACD is showing buying pressure. We see this green here, and we see that the MACD has crossed above the signal. We see that the Stokes are showing a recent buy signal on the daily. So, overall, I think that Matic looks, in general, looks bullish. It doesn't mean that we can't come back down and touch this 0.786 again, because we're ranging until some heavy movements come from Bitcoin. If Bitcoin kind of breaks above 8K, or if Matic comes out with some of the things that are coming out in the very near future, which I would say look at my last video for, you could see some huge movements upward to break out of this range. But until something like Bitcoin moves, or until Matic really makes some more moves itself, we'll probably stay in this range. But in general, overall, things look bullish, overall in the short term. And I think that, just with these four indicators, you can see that the indicators being, the quad EMAs, the RSI, the MACD, and the Stokes, everything looks a little bit more bullish. And we can also see for Bitcoin that it also seems like Bitcoin's really trying to stay afloat. So there's some resilience here, which is good. We do see that Bitcoin is kind of moving sideways and also ranging, definitely touching, mid 6,000s, high 6,000s, but bouncing every time. Now, generally, of course, Bitcoin, the way it works is if it hits, a certain support so many times, that does mean it could break it. But in this case, we are seeing some resilience, and the indicators look decent. Everything's kind of already crossed under with the um, daily EMAs, but that doesn't mean that we can't start kind of crossing above again. Kind of right now, more neutral on Bitcoin, but the indicators suggest this. We have the RSI very neutral at 50. We do see buying pressure, light buying pressure with the MACD. You can see it kind of just bouncing upward here, and you do see the green from the histogram. And the Stokes show a recent buy signal on the 20th, or sorry, the 3rd, so just yesterday. So I mean, Bitcoin overall really looks like it wants to range, in my opinion, my humble opinion. It looks like it wants to range. That does give a lot of room for altcoins to do their thing. And as long as the altcoins are showing promise, which there are a lot of altcoins and projects out there that are showing, promise. I mean, this year is really the year where they have to. If they don't complete certain roadmap objectives, I really think a lot of projects are going to die off. This is the year that the altcoins show their stuff or die. And overall, in just a general, kind of summarized version, it looks like Matic will range. It looks like Bitcoin will range, but overall, things look like Matic has the ability to move up if it wants to, or comes out with something overly important. In general, if we look at the dominance chart here, you can see that just recently Bitcoin kind of took a little leg up, and pretty much everything else is kind of moving down. Like others, as in all the other altcoins that aren't in the top 20. But also all of the other altcoins like Ethereum, XRP, Tether, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, EOS, Binance Coin, Bitcoin SV, as shown on this chart at least. So, you can tell that these are all trending down here, and Bitcoin is moving up. But what is interesting is that Bitcoin did not, on the dominance at least, dominance chart did not make a higher high on this little move up. It's actually a lower low to this high here. So we also see a little pullback here. Does that mean that it's going to, continue moving down? This will be interesting to follow. So if we kind of zoom in on what's important to me, you see that Bitcoin here kind of made this lower high, and that everything else is kind of moving down, but overall it's kind of like down sideways-ish for all other coins. So at this small point in the chart, this is between pretty much between the middle of December to current time. So this is definitely something to follow as well. I'm very bullish for a lot of different projects this year. I think altcoins really have a chance to show their stuff this year, and I think the Matic Network is really going to steal the show with Ethereum this year due to their ability to scale Ethereum. And as the article suggests, we will see Ethereum scale this year into next year with possibly Ethereum 2.0 coming out. But really the goal here today was just to show you why Matic is really the chosen layer 2 solution, and why Ethereum will continue to keep going on, and why it's going to steal the show. So anyways, never give up on the future of money. Take it easy, guys.